Principles are so important because they serve as a foundation for a system of beliefs or a set of behaviors. Now let's talk about those behaviors. What makes principles so powerful is that when you have a good set of principles, they serve as a set of instructions on what to do to get you to a certain outcome, a certain desire, a certain goal. So by having a well thought out set of principles, we don't have to guess at what to do. We already have a roadmap. We already have a signpost ahead that says, do this, and this is what will happen. So in this principle, number 8 of 10, we're talking about increasing our value 100-fold or 100 times. So what do we do to increase our value? The mantra for this one is, today I multiply my value 100-fold or 100 times. So understand how value is created. Consider this. The mulberry leaf, which is the leaf that silk caterpillars and silk moth, this is the leaf that they feed off of. Now, of course, we know the silk caterpillar creates that material that we call silk yarn, and then we use that to create silk fabric, which we know 100% genuine silk is very expensive because it's limited on how much the caterpillar can make. So that makes the scarcity of it more valuable, and it's prized for the feeling that it gives. Silk is very strong yet very delicate feeling. It's very great on the skin, and so during ancient times, it's always been a sought after commodity. But yet, we wouldn't have the silk if it wasn't for this lowly mulberry leaf. This mulberry leaf has almost no value at all, except to the tree that it's on, and of course to the caterpillar, the silk larva. But to man, this has no value outside of its connection to the silk. So we increase the value of this silk through this chain of events from here to here. Think about this: a field of clay touched with the genius of a man can become a castle. Back in the day where they used to take clay, or even in some South American countries where they would call it adobe, where they take clay and they wet it and they mix it up and they mold it into bricks, and then they put them out in the sun to dry. Then they use the bricks to build. So the clay is everywhere. There's no scarcity to it, but all of the action and effort put into it to creating a brick increased the value of this material from here to here. And then the building that they build, when you add that labor to it, now this pile of bricks as a whole has a value way higher than that. Or, and there's lots of things in the commodity world where they have a value here, but through some process or some further use, we create a higher value. Think about wool on a sheep. Think about sugar on the cane, turn into refined sugar that we use for everything else. So it's possible that the leaves and the clay, all of that, the value is multiplied 1,000-fold or even more. It has been done through our thinking, our understanding of creating value. So even in here now in the modern world, when we try to figure out how to take your skills, your gifts, and turn them into something to be monetized for gain, you have to be creative in how to get that value out of it. If you have special skills that are in rare demand, you create value by putting it together in a way that people can use and benefit from it. You create value, making it available, making it easier, making it more understandable. All of these things create value that increase our value to provide that. So, can we not do that ourselves, just like the ancients did, just like people are doing every day? You can do it just like they did. Because remember, today we will multiply our value 100-fold by being creative. Okay, if we think of ourselves as having to face one of three futures, right? The first future, well, think about it this way. Let's go back and let's think about it this way. Say a sack of grain, a sack of wheat, right? Now, if I collect up some wheat from, I'm a farmer, I take the wheat from my field. I got three things I can do with that wheat. And depending on which way I use it, I can determine the value. Number one, I could take that wheat, I could put it in a sack, and I can use it to feed my pigs, right? Or other animals that will eat the wheat. Or I could grind it up and make wheat flour or make bread. Or I can take it and replant it as seed and grow a whole new crop of wheat and have a whole new harvest in the next season. So we're faced with the same choices. We can do one or three things. But consider this. There's a difference between us and how we increase our value and how the wheat does it. The wheat cannot choose. We have a choice. So when we understand those choices, we can make the best choice to increase our value. The wheat, we have a choice to not let our life become food or food for somebody else's success or for someone else's wealth growth. We cannot be, we can choose not to be processed and turned into, say, an employee, and be broken up, and fed to others and fed to the machine of someone else's success. But we want to grow and allow ourselves to be replanted and develop ourselves into a whole new crop, to grow and multiply. Remember, the Bible says to be fruitful and multiply. So how do we be fruitful and multiply? We plant our creative seeds, our thoughts, our abilities. We plant those so that they can grow. We plant them through helping others and serving them. And so then when our seeds of creativity are acquired by others and grown, our message, our power, our energy is spread into a whole new crop of others who can enjoy our abilities, our gifts, our seeds. Okay. So to grow and multiply, it is necessary to plant in the darkness of the earth, our toil, when we're toiling behind the scenes in the dark. And in our failures, as we're going through the process of trying things and trying to take our creativity and grow it and develop it into something useful to others, through all of that process, we're going to endure some despair. But our despairs and our ignorance and our inabilities are that darkness that we have to grow through, so that to go through, so that we can grow through it. Now, like that wheat grain, which will sprout and blossom eventually, our abilities that we're cultivating in the dark will also blossom and grow, and will nurture with rain and sun. Now, of course, for us, rain and sun is about trial and error and success, and then letting people know that we have this thing that they can find useful and valuable. So we also, must nurture our bodies and our minds and help and then fulfill our dreams. So That's part of that cultivation process too. It's not just the efforts we're putting in, it's the dreams, it's the outcome that we want. So unlike that wheat, or just like that wheat, that's where we're planting and harvesting that future, that new creativity, because we're taking one creative idea and turning it into something much larger. But to grow full stature, the wheat must wait on nature. But we don't have to wait for nature. We can take action. We have to wait for, reality to happen. We have to wait for things to nurture in that way. But we have the power to choose our destiny. For today, we can multiply our value 100-fold. So how do we accomplish this? First, we must set goals and objectives for the day, the week, the month, the year, and for life. We talk about legacy. Just as the rain must fall before the wheat will crack its shell and start to sprout, we must have objectives before our lives start to crystallize. Things can't come into focus until you know what you're looking for. In setting goals, we should consider our best performance of the past and then multiply that times 100. So whatever you did in your best year, your goal should be to make 100 times more than that. If it's a monetary goal, if it's a revenue goal, or if it's a lifetime goal, or some other personal achievement, quantify it, say what was my best one, and then set a goal that'll give you 100 times that amount. I know most folks get afraid to have too lofty a goal, but it's necessary, because even if you aim high and you come here, you're still higher than where you started. This should be the standard by which we live in the future. This is the standard by which I live, because I've adopted this principle along with the others. So I decided that never will I be of concern that my goals and objectives are too high, for it's not better to aim my spear at the moon and then strike an eagle and rather than to aim for an eagle and only hit a rock. So if you aim high, you'll get high results, even if you fall short of your lofty goal. I do so because today I will multiply my value 100-fold. I seek and I work to multiply my value 100 times what it was yesterday, or a year ago, or 10 years ago. Now, I believe that the heights of our goals will not hold us, in a sense of awe, amazement, even though you might stumble a little bit in order to get there. But it's still, don't fall into the trap of saying, if a goal seems too high, you give up on trying because you say it's just too much. The proverbial grass reach exceeding grasp. Now, I look at it like, the only creatures that are free of stumbling are worms and snakes, because they don't have legs. But it's better to stumble and to rise and fall and not be concerned about that fall, because we all have to stumble. We all stumble on our way. We stumble up the stairs, but you don't want to stop going up the steps and climbing the hill just because you stumble, because that's part of the journey. But let others build a cave with clay. We can build a castle. So rather than take the clay and dig a hole in the ground and live there, let's take that extra work, because it's probably a lot easier to dig a hole in the side of a pile of clay and then call it a cave and live in that. But I guarantee you, it won't be as comfortable as the castle that you build if you take that clay, form it into blocks, build a castle. It'll be much higher. You won't be in the ground. You may be in a material similar to the ground, but it'll have windows and doors and room, and that where you can live a much healthier and comfortable life. And that castle will be of far greater value than that mound of clay with a hole inside of it. So I choose to build a castle rather than dig a hole. For I want to multiply my value 100-fold. And just as the sun must warm the earth and bring forth a seedling of wheat, I'm still using the wheat metaphor. The wheat, our words will warm our lives. And these words, in these principles, are seeking to warm us and guide us, and to take our dreams and create it into a reality that's 100 times more than what our dreams are. Today we should seek to surpass every action that we did yesterday. I know I seek that. I also seek to climb today's mountain with the utmost of my ability, yet tomorrow I try to go even higher. And I think you should too. I think that's what most people want. So I don't want to tell you should, but I think that's what you want too. You want to be higher. You want to climb. You want to higher. You want to reach a higher height. For tomorrow, should it come and we have it and we wake up for it, we want to be higher than we were today. And to surpass the deeds of other people is unimportant. So all of this effort to climb higher and be 100-fold, we're not comparing ourselves to someone else. We're not looking to pass somebody else. I know a lot of us have competitive natures about us, and so we do things that way. But remember, the person we're trying to compete with and be better than is us yesterday. So again, we want to continue to multiply our value 100-fold. And so, just as the warm wind guides the wheat to maturity, the same winds will carry our voices to those who will listen, and our words when we announce our goals and objectives. Because oftentimes when we have a clear set of goals and objectives, and people resonate with those goals and objectives, especially in your teams, whatever those teams may be, they will be more inclined to act to support your goals and objectives because they find them to be worthy or admirable, and they say, I want to be a part of that. That's important. Now, once you speak those goals and objectives, do not recall them. Don't take them back. You may update, you may modify a little bit, but generally stick to the goal. Even if it looks like the results may fall short, don't reduce the goal to meet the projection. Try to make the projection meet the goal. Otherwise, you won't see a 100-fold increase. So, I think we should focus on the following, and follow me on this. The focus. Do not commit the terrible crime of aiming too low. And I know I use the word crime, it's a little melodramatic, but do not turn down work that a failure will not do. Always let our reach exceed our grasp. Never be content with your performance in the world on a daily basis. No matter how well you did, you could say, I could have did a little bit more. But of course, we want to give ourselves some grace. But we still want to aim. If I did great today, I want to do better tomorrow. I could have done better. I look and see what could I have done to do better. And always raise our goals as soon as we attain them. So if we set a goal of 50 and we get to 50, don't just say, we hit our goal, let off the pedal. Let's say, okay, we hit 50, let's make it 75. Maybe our goal was too low in the first place. So that will help to increase your value. Always strive to make the next hour better than this hour. Just another metaphor for saying, let's make it better. Let's improve. Let's look on that. Let's improve more in this hour, right now, than we were doing a minute ago. If we're measuring a rate of production, we want to increase production if we can maintain all other things in quality, things like that. You know, again, always announce your goals and objectives to the world, yet never proclaim the accomplishments. You know, you say, hey, great job, but we don't say, look what I did, I'm the greatest in the world. Instead, let the world approach us with praise. So don't praise ourselves, let others praise us and give us that. And then we have the wisdom to receive that praise with humility. So we don't toot our own horn, as they say, let others toot it for us. That's a step towards multiplying our value 100-fold. So when all of that is done, we turn around and we do it again and again and again. Repeat, rinse and repeat, as they say. And we'll find that, you know, we'll be real surprised that as we do these things, not only do we gather more success, but that it gets more fun doing it. We get happier doing it, because with each success and each success building on that, it gets easier and more enjoyable. And then we find that going from 0 to 100,000 is a lot tougher than it is, or going from 100,000 to 1,000,000 is a lot easier than it is going from 0 to 100,000. But it's all through that accumulation, that harvest, that planting of it to get maximum value. So rather than doing things in a short term, for a short-term gratification, or a secondary, little bit less shorter term gratification, go ahead and put in for a long-term gratification and reap a really big harvest. So that's basically it in a nutshell. And so that's how we increase everything 100-fold, by planting seeds and systems. We talk about systems in business. Plant seeds and systems that allow us things to grow, rather than just a few bucks now. So hopefully I didn't confuse that too much. But that's how we create value, by planting seeds for long-term harvest rather than short-term gain. So hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next video.